part 2 of do not go back to Egypt. And if you go back and watch part 1, you will understand why I'm saying do not go back to Egypt. I'm not referring to the actual place. But like I was explaining in the last video, the main reason why a lot of people it's difficult for them to let go of certain addictions is because they feel as though that they can't live without those things. And the second you have the thought in your mind that you can't let go of something, that thing is an idol. And when people finally decide to stop doing drugs, there's going to be a spiritual attack on your soul. There's going to be a war on your soul. For example, people who decide to quit smoking cigarettes, there's going to be a major attack on your soul. There is spiritual warfare that goes on, even though you can't see it with your own fleshly eyes. There is a huge war going on when you decide you want to put those cigarettes down. Because the enemy will convince you that you need to keep doing it. They put an addictive substance inside of the cigarettes that's called nicotine so that it's difficult for the person who is smoking to quit. And once they finally decide to quit, there are certain symptoms that goes on with that person mentally and physically. Some people, they even get angry if someone tries to take away the cigarette from them. There's a spirit that's within it and people can't see it. You can't fight that spirit off with worldly tactics. You gotta fight spiritual warfare, like how Paul mentioned in Ephesians chapter 6. He said you gotta put on the helmet of salvation. Your feet has to be shod with the gospel of peace and a lot of other things that he was naming. You gotta fight in the spiritual realm because those demons do not want you to put it down. It's the same with a lot of alcohol products. There are spirits within those things. That's why when you go to buy alcohol from some stores, you see that it says spirits right on the bottle. So when that person decides they want to stop drinking, they can't because those spirits are going to convince you that you need it. We live in a world where they want you to think that nothing is spiritual. They only want you to focus on what you can see carnally, but not the things that you can see spiritually. You see people saying, I'm battling with addiction. You are battling with those spirits, but you just are looking at it from a carnal perspective. And sometimes the enemy can even use certain people to try to get to you because the Bible says that bad company corrupts good character. So if you have friends around you that are not a good influence on you, once you finally decide to quit, they may try to influence you to do the same thing. That's why Jesus said in Matthew, I think it's Matthew 9 or Mark 9, that if your hand is causing you to sin, cut it off. It doesn't mean you have to actually physically cut off your hand. But whatever is causing you to sin, you got to separate it from you. Meaning if you got friends that are trying to influence you, you got to separate yourselves from those people, even though it may be difficult because the enemy is after your soul. He wants you to go back to Egypt. When you see people getting angry and mad because you taking away their drugs or you told them stop doing drugs, it's not really the person that you are dealing with. People think it's the person. It's not really the person or really even the drugs, but it's the spirit within that person that's convincing them that they need those drugs. So once you see them crying and screaming and yelling, that is a demonic possession. And those spirits have to be cast out. And you can't let them get back into you because in Matthew chapter 12, Jesus said that when an unclean spirit leaves from out of a man, and it comes back and sees that that body has been swept clean, it will try to enter in again and bring other demons with it. That's why you see some people, they finally beat their addiction, but then once they get over it, they go back to doing the same thing again. And in the book of Proverbs, it said we shouldn't be like a dog who goes back and returns to its own vomit. Do not go back to Egypt.